To understand love in the feudal Middle Ages, 9th–15th centuries, it is necessary to forget the modern concept of relationship based on affection and individual freedom. In that world, the social and religious structure determined everything: birth, work, marriage, and even the way of loving. Love was, in essence, a duty, not a choice. Human relations were defined by rigid hierarchies of masters over serfs, of men over women, of nobles over peasants. The Church, with its moral and spiritual authority, controlled not only public behavior, but also people's intimate lives. Marriage was seen as an economic and political institution, not as a union for love. Meanwhile, true love, the one that defied rules, flourished in the poems, songs, and forbidden stories. Feudal marriage, contract, inheritance, and power. In the feudal system, marriage was a transaction of alliances. Families, especially among the nobility, married to consolidate lands, inheritances, and military pacts. Loving one's mate was desirable, but not necessary. Among nobles, for the nobles, marrying was a matter of strategy. Marriage united fiefdoms, strengthened loyalties, and created political ties. The bride was often betrothed as a child, and arranged marriages ensured the preservation of family property. The noble woman was seen as an instrument of alliance. Her body and fertility were valuable possessions. She was to bear legitimate heirs and manage the castle in her husband's absence. Love was a luxury, duty, an obligation. Marriages were celebrated with the blessing of the Church, but the choice of partner rarely involved personal feelings. The father decided, the clergyman blessed, and the couple fulfilled their role. Among peasants. Among serfs and peasants, marriage was simpler, but also controlled. Couples needed the permission of the feudal lord, as marriage implied rights to land and obligations at work. Family life was geared toward survival, work in the fields, raising children, and religious devotion. Even among the humblest, love was not entirely free. The Church regulated marriages, forbade consanguineous unions, and condemned adultery, especially female adultery. The role of the Church: love under the gaze of God. During feudalism, the Catholic Church was the great guardian of morals and defined what was allowed between men and women. She transformed marriage into a sacred sacrament, regulated by rigid and indissoluble rules. Before that, marriage was a civil or family contract. But from the 12th century onward, the Lateran Council and canon law established that marriage was a religious and indissoluble act. What God has joined together, man does not separate. Adultery became a serious sin, and carnal desire a threat to the soul. The Church promoted the ideal of chastity even within marriage. Sexual pleasure was seen as tolerable only for procreation. Christian morality thus repressed eroticism and shaped relationships around guilt and sin. Pure love was spiritual, desire diabolical. Women in feudal love, between obedience and myth. Medieval women lived between two symbolic extremes, Mary and Eve. Mary represented purity, motherhood, and submission. Eve, sin, temptation, and disobedience. Feudal society expected women to be chaste, docile, and devout, subordinate to their father, husband, or convent. His destination was home or the cloister. The noble wife. The noble wife managed the castle, supervised servants, and wove alliances. Although marriage was imposed, some wielded considerable power, such as Eleanor of Aquitaine, Queen of France and England, patroness of troubadours, and symbol of cultured and influential women. The idealized lady. At the same time, a new literary model of woman emerged: the ideal lady, pure, unattainable, and adored from a distance. This ideal was born in the courts of southern France, where poets and troubadours created the concept of courtly love, the impossible love that ennobled man. Courtly love. The invention of romantic love. Around the 12th century, a cultural phenomenon transformed the view of love. Courtly love, also called fin amour. Originating in the feudal courts of Provence, France, this poetic and philosophical ideal introduced the cult of women and idealized love. The troubadours, poets and musicians, sang of love for married noble ladies, portraying it as pure, spiritual, and unattainable. The knights secretly loved, serving the lady as a vassal to her lord, with devotion, loyalty, and sacrifice. This love did not seek physical pleasure, but moral elevation. It was a way of sublimating desire, transforming instinct into virtue. Many scholars see it as the origin of modern romantic love. The ritual of courtly love. The knights swore an oath to the lady, wrote poems, and performed feats in her honor. The lady, in turn, maintained control of the game. She accepted or rejected love, always keeping it on the edge of the impossible. This model, though idealized, reflected a symbolic revolt against arranged marriage and the rigid morality of the church. The forbidden passion, adultery, scandal, and punishment. True love, in the Middle Ages, was almost always forbidden. Because marriages were arranged, many passionate relationships arose outside of marriage, and this could be fatal. The church condemned adultery harshly, especially for women. Powerful men could be forgiven, but adulterous women were punished with public humiliation, imprisonment, or even death. Stories such as Tristan and Isolde, Lancelot and Guinevere, and Abelard and Heloise illustrate the tragedy of forbidden love. In them, love is always stronger than the law, but also more painful than sin. These narratives reveal the conflict between social duty and individual desire, a theme that would cross centuries and inspire modern literature. Love in the popular classes. While the nobles sang courtly love, the life of the peasants was quite different. Among the servants, love was practical and communal. Marriage served to unite labor forces and ensure survival. Village festivals, harvests, and religious rituals were opportunities for courtship. Despite the vigilance of the clergy, peasant life maintained pagan traditions, with fertility rituals and popular celebrations. Love was lived more naturally, and often outside the official rules. Couples could test living together before the court of love, the refinement of customs. During the 12th and 13th centuries, courtly love evolved into a true system of social etiquette. In the aristocratic courts, ladies and knights discussed the laws of love, inspired by the treatises of André Le Chapelain, such as De Amore. These courts of love judged sentimental dilemmas based on moral and poetic rules. Could one love a married person? Could love without physical desire? Was it possible to love two people at the same time? These debates, although literary, reflected a profound cultural transformation. Love ceased to be just a sin or contract and became the subject of ethical and aesthetic reflection. There was born the idea of love as a virtue, a noble and refined feeling. The medieval legacy in modern love. The feudal system ended, but his ideas about love left deep marks on Western culture. Marriage as a social and economic contract survived well into the 19th century. Christian morality about purity and chastity still influences behavior, and the ideal of courtly love was transformed into romantic love, exalted by literature and cinema. The figure of the knight in love, faithful to the ideal lady, evolved into the modern romantic hero, from Shakespeare to Jane Austen, from Tristan to Romeo. Love, which was once sin and servitude, has become the ultimate symbol of human freedom. Between the sword and the kiss. During the Middle Ages, love was a dangerous act. Between the sword and the altar, love was controlled, watched, and sometimes condemned. But it was also the force that challenged power, inspired poetry, and transformed the soul. From political marriage to courtly love, From forbidden desire to mystical devotion, the feudal system has shaped every form of love we know today. Final voice. In the halls and camps of feudalism, love was born a prisoner. But it was this prison that taught him to fight for freedom. And that is why, to this day, when we say, "I love you," the oath of the ancient troubadours echoes in silence. If you like this dive into the story of love, subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and share this video. In the next episode, we will explore how the Renaissance freed the body and desire from feudal morality.